Hello and welcome to a new kind of video for my channel. We're going to be introducing vaping to the channel. Today I have with me Mr. Proton. We're going to start off with how we started, and then we're going to move on how we went through the cycle of vaping and what's better, what you should go for, what you shouldn't, and basically what works and what don't.
Yeah.
Right, well, we started off with a pass-through battery, which is an Ego.
So these are 1,000 mile manual, isn't it? 1,000 mile manual pass through.
There you go. Basically the bottom comes off. You can charge it with a wire. You can also use the PlayStation 3 charging cable if that helps, just in case you want a spare. Charge it, you can use it while it's on charge. 5-button safety system to turn it on and off with flash blue, turn it off, and then flash white to come back on, and then it's working. Simple as. The first clearomizer?
Yeah, clearomizer. Yeah,
Clearomizer.
CE4, CE5.
It's one of them. Pretty simple to use. The atomizer inside there is replaceable, so you can change it and you don't have to worry about re-wicking and all that kind of stuff. But that all comes apart, top comes off, liquid goes in there. Make sure you don't get it down that centre tube, and you're pretty much good to go as it comes.
Okay.
Comes with 1.8.
Depends where you order from. Liberty Flights, 2.4s.
This is busted, I shouldn't have undone that.
Liberty Flights 2.4s. Totally Wicked 1.8s. Yeah, basically 1.8s. Usually that's what you want to use on a standard Ego thread battery anyway. Ego C, Ego T. Pass throughs obviously as well.
That's how we started. Basically screws together. I haven't done the top up because it's broken one. It's my last one I've sold, and the other two because I did have 3.
Moved on to bigger and better things.
Indeed. But, you know, I can't do the lid up, so I'm going to just try it without it. Fuck it. Doesn't work. What a surprise.
Good video.
Indeed. This is what you get when you break them.
Or when you wing videos.
Wing videos, that's how it works. It took us 20 minutes just to find his bloody name.
And we went with what I already had in the first place.
Indeed.
He wanted to call me Minge.
He is a minge.
I'm not happy about this. Once you're finished with that, once you get onto your standard Ego, 3.7 volt, no vari volt or anything, onto a little RCS from Totally Wicked V3, or you've got CE5s, depending on where you buy it from. They're all the same product, just different stuff on them. We then moved on to variable voltage devices, stuff like this, which is effectively the same thing. Ego battery, 510 in the middle, Ego on the outside. Only you can vary volt. This one is a spinner from Vaporscape. .co.uk. You've got varivolt from 3.2 to 4.8. It's not bad, it's pretty good. I was still using this up until about 3 days ago when I sold it to him. He's now got 2. Use these with the V3, whatever. Nova. We're using Novas now, they're pretty good.
Awesome, really, aren't they?
Yeah,
they're not pretty good.
No,
they're awesome.
To be honest with you, the Nova's the best tank out there, we'll get into that.
We've tried other things and we've always come back to that.
Well, yeah, we've tried quite a few things to be honest with you. But yeah, you can use them with pretty much anything that's Ego threaded or 510 threaded. I mean, your Kangas will fit on there. Kanga T2's a bit wank, really, to be honest with you. We've heard a lot of good stuff about them, but in our experience, they were pretty poor, to be honest with you. We ended up sending them back and getting replaced with V3s, which Liberty Flights did for us. No hassle, just sent them straight through, job done.
In fact, they actually sent it before we sent them back.
Yep, and they didn't charge us the additional cost either, so Liberty Flights really good for that. And yeah, basically you can then play around a bit with your ohmage atomizers and stuff like that. You can sort of move up to 2.4s.
What he's fiddling around with is a plinth.
2.8s. This is a Smoktech DCT 6mm tank plinth. It's irrelevant for things like your Kangas and your V3s and stuff like that, but it does work really well with some of the other stuff that's coming up. Just blends the batteries in a bit better.
Basically, anything's got the 510 connection pointing out with a flat base.
Within reason, yeah. iClears are pretty good, obviously, the DCT tanks as well. iClear we'll get onto in a minute, but the Nova, the AGA, all this kind of stuff we'll show you in a second, but it just helps blend it if you're out and about. It depends on what kind of size stuff you like carrying, so yeah, basically it blends it all in.
But this is how your Nova will come. It's in quite a little cool box with a little vapor on the back. Take it out. There's a nice little padded thing. I've actually pre-filled this because I've actually been using this car for a few days, but you get a couple of extra spare ones, which is a 2.8.
You got 1.8, 2.8 and a 2.4 installed.
Yeah, 2.4 installed already, 1.8 and 2.8. Basically, just take it out. This is full, so I'm not going to open this one, but we've got another one here ready. Your drip clip comes off, simple as. Unscrews at the top, just fill straight down the middle. Not the middle.
Avoid the central tube.
The central tube, but down the side. On these ones we've actually got...
that's the STV, Nova STV.
yeah, it's got a clear bit on the side so you can see how much liquid you got on. Have you got your other one?
Yeah. There's the other one. There's a difference. Basically, this is a standard Nova that I bought a replacement metal tank for. This is completely, it's aluminium, I think, spray black, so it's pretty resilient. But the STVs come with, it feels like the standard tank that's got a metal sleeve around it that's been painted with rubberised paint. This is what you'll get from Totally Wicked if you get the Nova.
Obviously with a little devil on the side.
Yeah, you get the devil from Totally Wicked. That one was from Vaporscape. We bought 4 in one hit because they're that good.
Cheaper.
Yeah, vaporscape.co.uk are definitely cheaper for them, especially seeing as you can find like 10% discount codes online, like readily available.
But your bottom comes off. Tank all can wash in that. We've had no problems with the paint coming off with washing it. Medium to hot water, you know, don't want to burn yourself, but you don't want it to be too cool so it gets rid of the liquid. It just screws off. If you know how to re-wick these, which we might go into eventually when we start re-wicking properly ourselves, but we need to get some Canthal wire, because we got some other one, but it's a bit, was it high resistance, low resistance?
It's a bit high resistance. Four wraps will give us about 3.5 ohms. It's just a bit too much to be. I mean, yeah, the spinners and stuff, they can they go up to 4.8 volts, so you should theoretically be able to hold that.
All this you can get wet. Just make sure that central tube is dry before you put in your battery.
Yeah, there's no part of the Nova you can't get wet. You just make sure it's dry. Do you know what I mean? The difference between those tips and the V3s, obviously they're not cross comparable. You can't use the two tips in the same device, or can't use different tips in the same device, or vice versa, however you want to word it. The V3s aren't bad. I mean, you will get dry hits. You've got to do a roll and stuff to keep it moist to make sure you're not getting burnt taste. Nova, not so much. You do get it, but mainly when the tank's really close to empty. Apart from that, there's no real issues with the Nova. The Nova's got 4 individual wicks as opposed to the V3's 1 wick.
Except for the 2.88.
2.88 comes with a standard, I think it's a
2
mil wick. I think it's a 2 mil wick. Yeah.
2 mil wick.
I think they're 4.5 mil wicks. I find the 4.5 mils, they just work really well. Loads of vapour, loads of flavour from them. And to be honest, I've never had liquid in the mouth from a Nova. It's cool. You can use your own tips. The bodies are so readily available. You can replace them with whatever you fancy. It's a really good tank.
I mean, I've been using the 2.4.
2.4.
And I find it better on 4.4 volts, which seems to be give you a perfect nice vape. Nice, flavour's good. Raspberry. There'll be flights for that as well if you're making your own. Raspberry is the way to go.
In general, making your own liquid is the way to go. To be honest, it's not overly difficult. Just do a bit of reading on the forums and posts and see what you can find. I find that if you read reviews about flavours, some of them tend to be a bit more over the top than what you necessarily need if you're going to allow your liquid to steep. If you're going to vape it as soon as you've mixed it, then they're probably spot on. But if you allow it to steep, some of them get so strong it's absolutely ridiculous. You're not having to water them down, and it's just getting into complications you don't really need. You moving on to something else?
Yeah, we've got the eye clear as well, which is a dual coil clearomizer.
Dual coil clearomizer, yeah.
And it's got an obscene amount of wicks. It's got like 4 in each.
It's a Nova style wick, so you've got 4 Novas, 4 wicks each side.
It goes double-sided like that. You can see you can just about see the tops on the other side when I turn it.
But you've got 4 wicks in each coil, which amounts to 8.
I mean,
size.
The reviews we had on this, well, when we was reading up on it, they're meant to be really, really good, but they do flood. If you fill it over 2.5 mils of liquid, it is going to flood. You need to keep it upright at all times. I mean, it's a home vape, not too bad, because you can keep it upright in a stand or leave it back in the box, which it does come in quite a nice, sturdy box, which is like that.
Pretty pointless though, the box. I mean, it's nice, but the box is pretty pointless.
And the head does twist.
The head, yeah, it's got a King Kong style head, really cool, stainless, feels really good. I mean, personally, I like this kind of tip. People go, that doesn't really make much difference. It doesn't, it don't. I mean, realistically, if you do that, it's not really much difference to doing that, but I prefer to vape it like that. There are a few issues. First one, I mean, I haven't seen any videos describing any of these issues, to be honest with you. People saying wicking is not an issue, and I'd agree with them. Over wicking is an issue. I mean, there are ways to sort your over wicking out, you know what I mean, a few dry burns, whatever else, but it's a bit hit and miss. I think if you like this, you're going to love it, and if you're like me and you are very particular, it's going to be one of the ones that you kind of like to start with and then grow to hate. It's not.
Hate's a strong word.
I'm not his biggest fan, put it that way.
It's a lot of
It's
tweaking. If you like to tweak, then if you want a dual coil clearomizer, probably the way to go because it's the only one out there. I mean, you can get the smaller one, which is a
I can't remember what that's called. It's
No.
iClear 16. iClear 16.
iClear 16, which is basically the same, but it looks more like the V3.
It's but a dual coil inside a V3 body bait. Effectively, I'm not guaranteeing that's what it is, but that's what it looks like.
No, the shaft's a little bit different inside, but you'll see the difference if you buy it or whatever.
These were from Vaporscape again. .co.uk. They were only 14 quid, so they're not expensive. Realistically, you get one Atty with it. The Atties, I can show you the Atty. The Atties are pretty cool. I can show you how many wicks and stuff it's got on it. That's the atomizer as you receive it. You can see it's more hair than a raster. It does wick like an absolute animal, and I had no issues with it for about 4 or 5 days. And then once you've changed wicks and washed it out and stuff, you will notice the occasional burnt, or over wicking. You will notice the occasional flooding.
You'll notice as well if you don't let your wick to dry naturally, it does tend to flood a little bit quicker.
Yeah, it does.
Let it dry and let it just be no kind of water in there or anything. You might want to you put a hairdryer on it. I tried that. It seemed to work pretty fine.
My main gripe with this tank, it's done recently. I don't know if you guys can make that out. You could probably make that out. Basically, what's happened is basically the tank has cracked. The tank has cracked. Now, there's several reasons for this. Probably, well, partially I think it's user error. To some extent, I mean, I've read reviews and they say sort of get them as tight as possible without causing any damage, which I've been doing, and it's been
basically
absolutely
putting in a vice and pliers.
I don't give it that. No, it's nothing like that. I do just basically I tighten it finger tight and then a little bit more occasionally. So that could explain for resulting cracking. Something I haven't seen any videos on YouTube, and he will vouch that I watch a lot.
Doesn't stop.
Is after this happened, I got in touch with Vaporscape UK. I had a little email with a couple of the people there. They've been pretty helpful up until even till now, I suppose. And it was then they turned around and said basically this can happen with certain liquids in your tank. Now, I mean, fairly new to vaping, progressing fairly quickly. I think partially because I do watch a lot of videos on YouTube and stuff.
I mean, just keep spending money.
We've spent copious amounts of money, honestly, but basically I've never heard of liquids causing tanks to crack. And I'm guessing this is kind of it does feel like a cheap tank. It's not Pyrex. I'm not sure what it is. I think it's a polycarbonate tank. But yeah, basically, I mean, I said to, I think it was Jason at Vaporscape, I said to him, surely there should be some warning on the site about certain liquids, because at the end of the day, you're selling these flavoured liquids, there should be some kind of... Their response was, we shouldn't have to warn you about other people's liquids, which I thought was a bit... I don't know, I wasn't quite impressed with that, to be honest with you. I thought it was a bit rude. I went onto some forums and stuff, and I found, because when I first heard it, I thought it was a bit of a company trying to get away without giving a refund, basically, and apparently it doesn't be a genuine thing. It's a lot of, predominantly from what I'm reading, thicker liquids, vanilla flavours, all that kind of flavour. I mean, personally, when this happened, I was using spearmint. You can see the tank's now gone cloudy. I'm guessing some of that liquid has got into the cracks and it's caused issues or whatever. Personally, I'm no longer using this. I wouldn't say I won't recommend it. Off of basically my one bad experience.
It's good if you can get it working. When it's working, it works beautifully. When it wants to flood, it's going to flood seriously.
You can waste serious amounts of liquid. I mean, when it floods as well, obviously the only real way you can clear it out is to blow through and just get the tissue on the bottom of that unit.
Take it off.
Basically, just keep
tissue under there. Good old blow. Done job.
But you can use a lot of liquid.
You can.
You can lose up to 2 ml of liquid doing that way, and obviously, I mean, we mix our own, so it's not a major deal using 2 ml, but when you're paying upwards of 15-20 quid for 30 ml of juice, depending on if you're using high branded juice, totally wicked, 18 quid a bottle. 2 ml it's not a small amount of liquid from a 30 ml bottle. It's more than a day's vape for a lot of people. Personally, recently, I can go through anywhere between 3 and 10 ml in a day.
But we have lowered our nicotine amount.
Yeah, we're now using between sort of 6s and 12s nicotine. I started on 36 to move to 18. Used 24s and stuff. Personally, I think the lower nicotine amounts vape better for me anyway. A lot of people rant around about things like throat hit and this kind of stuff. The more nicotine you've got, the worse that is, the throat hit. Personally, I'm not after something that's going to punch me in the face. A nice vape with a sort of normal amount of throat hit that you get off a cigarette is fine for me. I know that obviously everyone has their own vaping experience and preferences, but for me, I want something that sort of imitates a cigarette but tastes better and isn't bad for you, and that seems to fit the bill at around 12 milligram strength and 60-40 PG mix, VG mix, sorry, 60% VG, 40% PG, kind of works for us.
But since I've been keeping this upright, it does work pretty well. I mean, you do get a little bit of flooding, but that's going to happen with every kind of chloromizer you use. And if the pour on this is a lot looser than a lot of ones we've tried. So you tend to, if you pour a lot harder, you tend to stop the flooding as well. So it's kind of like you've got to use it right in the right way. It's definitely a home vape, not one I would risk taking out because it is going to leak all everywhere. Because when it's sitting down night side, it's going to flood.
That's another one of my gripes as well, is if you buy a tank, I mean, whether you spend £4 or £14 or £40 or £400, wanker. Basically, I think that if they're going to sell something, it should be sold to be usable as is. I mean, I may have been unlucky, got a dodgy tank, a bit of me being an idiot and a dodgy juice. And
we're assuming he over-tightened it. A small crack.
It is an assumption. I mean, he does his as tight as I do mine. He's had no issues, but whatever. But I mean, that's one of my main issues, is I don't want to have to buy a tank.
But I haven't taken mine out. His was in his pocket when he took it out.
I don't want to have to buy a tank and stick it in there, leave it on the side and treat it like a 9-month-old child. No, I don't expect him to be able to stand up to a car running over him or whatever else, but I do expect, bearing in mind we use big ego cases like this, obviously in there. This is empty at the minute, but I'd have a battery or two, whatever at the time, and then I'd have a couple of 10ml bottles of juice and some spare ratties or whatever, a charger just in case. I mean, sometimes I'm out for an hour, sometimes I'm out for 3 days, so always be prepared. This is a fairly tough case. I don't expect it to break in there unless I really mistreat it, and when you've got it in your pocket and you're just walking along and you notice a crack, it's a bit... I don't think it was anything to do with this in here. I think it probably was a combination of several things. But for me, I have grown to loathe this a little bit just purely because, you know, I mean, having to leave it in that, sitting indoors, sitting upright so it doesn't overwick and doesn't flood, and then a tank crack and whatever else. It just seems a bit like you're paying £15 for a bit of inconvenience. It's just, no, it's not something really that interests me. We've had a few different style of tanks. I mean, I recently, on a spontaneous moment, after watching a few videos on YouTube, there was a few guys sort of talking about AGA teas, and I'd read about them on, I think Liberty Flights, in fact, bought this AGA tea from, and I've done a bit of reading about it and watched quite a few videos. Looks fairly simple. It's basically, it's a rebuildable atomizer, Genesis style tank. It's full, so I'm not going to unload it, to be honest with you. It's a lot of faffing around, but basically you've got 3 nuts on the top, which is your positive connection. Can't really see that. 3 nuts on the top there, and then you've got your screw around there, which is that screw there, which is your negative. No, it's not. That one is. To be honest with you, though, as far as the negatives goes, I mean, from what I've experienced, you can use any of these as a negative. That there is for a silica setup. That one there. As you see, it's set up with silica now, and it's still done through the same negative. It doesn't really make a difference. I think the idea with this tank is that you can customise it and make it whatever you want to make it. It come from Liberty Flights. I think it's a fairly good price. It's about 20 quid. I think I paid less than that with a discount. I think I paid around about 15 quid. They was running high discounts at the time. 510 connection. Obviously no air hole at the base, but you have got your air hole up here. I don't know if you're going to be able to make that out either. There you go, just there. Air hole in the top there. The AGA T1, which I didn't personally own, but I've read about, basically a lot of people had a problem with the top being screw threaded and you couldn't line up your air hole. With this you can line up your air hole and stuff. Got to say, I can imagine it's a lovely tank, but I can only imagine. We've both had...
we tried wicking it first with steel mesh.
Yeah, it didn't go too well.
Just tasted like eating metal.
Yeah, it was very metal, very metallic. I mean, part of that might be...
You could have got a better taste if you put a screw in your mouth and sucked on that for an hour.
Yeah, it was very metallic tasting. I mean, we were using the standard 400 steel mesh you got with the AGA. The standard bit of, I think it's nichrome or however you say it, wire that you got with it. I also bought some wire as well from Liberty whilst I ordered this, thinking, you know what I mean, order it. We re-wicked it, we just couldn't get it to work for us really. We tried oxidising half of the mesh, the whole mesh, wrapping several coils, making sure we were getting things...
making those, getting rid of the hot spots, putting juice on there, letting it wicking off, and it didn't work.
As good as we can. We tried loads of different voltages.
But since we've tested the wire in
we re-wicked
I re-wicked a atomizer form of V3.
And we re-wicked
and it come up at 4 ohms with 4 turns in it. 4 ohms, that's crazy.
It's 28 28 gauge. I think it's just basically 28 ohms per foot of wire. It doesn't seem like using that much with 4 coils, but they come up with basically 4 ohms, which is obviously we're planks.
We are going to be ordering a lower resistance wire, which is why we're going with the
32 gauge Canthol, which I see everyone who rebuilds will recommend Canthol. To be honest with you, should have listened to them. So if you are going to get into rewicking and stuff, get onto the Canthol eBay. You can get about, I think, a 10-metre spindle of the stuff for about £5.
But to be fair, the V3 I did rewick, there was no real hotspots on it. It did work.
Oh, it worked. Yeah,
we just didn't have the right battery to do the job.
You can use. I mean, you should be able to use a spinner up to about 3 ohms. 4.8 ohms. I mean, there's several graphs out there,
and it was spiking up and down this wire as well. At one point, we tested it on an actual amp meter.
We tested it on a multimeter.
And
it's just about 9 ohms.
It's 13 on that. It was 9 ohms on your
Vamo. Yeah.
On your Vamo. So.
Yeah, I think that is that's technical issues.
I think it's the wire.
I mean, the main problem with the AGA T Plus. Well, I mean, one of the main problems when people first started on it was the tank was cut really poorly. Liberty have addressed that issue. I got it, and it hasn't got the poorly cut tank. It's a nicely finished tank. It's still it's not Pyrex. Sorry, it's still the polycarbonate, polypropylene tank, but it's cut nice. So
it's a beautiful tank. It looks amazing.
Oh, it looks wicked. I mean, if you attach it to something, I mean, I've got a Vamo here. We'll get onto that in a second as well. But if you attach it to something like the Vamo, get it all screwed in and stuff, it does look wicked. Stick on your drip tip, and it does look really nice. I mean, this is a black chrome. If you had that, if you had the Vamo in stainless, with a stainless tip or something, it's really cool. And it feels nice. It's nicely weighted and stuff. It's just, as this far, we haven't been able to get it to work for us. But doesn't mean that you aren't going to.
Than us using the wrong wire than anything else.
Yeah, wire and mesh, and God knows what else. What else we've got to cover? Whilst we're, I suppose we'll cover the Vamo. This is my most recent purchase. Took delivery of it the other day, actually. He took delivery for my part, so alright. I'll say up until this, basically what I started on and what I recommend anyone new starts on is, I went to Totally Wicked after reading a few reviews. I watched a video about Alfie Ford as well, and he recommended sort of a Clearomizer V3 from Totally Wicked. I went on there. I bought that with a 650 mAh pass-through battery.
Which is about that long?
That's it, yeah. It's about
from top to that there.
That's 1,000 mAh from Totally Wicked again. And to be honest with you, using that on a 1.8 ohm AT seems to work really well. Yeah, it does. I custom made. I can actually show you if that's the kind of thing you want to get into, but you're not into the whole microlights and sky sigs and all that kind of stuff. I bought a little case from. Well, I think it was.
We'll put my 1,000 because you'll bear in mind that this is about that much longer.
Yeah.
So you cut that off, and that's going to close.
Basically, but I went to work and I knocked up a little case, and basically I made it so that fitted in there. My 650 mAh battery sat level with that, and you closed the case, and it kind of worked. Do you know what I mean? I carried around a spare atomizer in there as well, but I filled it up in the morning and off, and I went away. At the time, I was using 36 milligram strength liquid, so a tank would last me all day. Now, if I fill one of them tanks, I'm lucky if it lasts me an hour and a half, 2 hours of vaping. It'll probably last me a day at work because obviously you don't spend all day vaping, but yeah, it's not a bad little setup, especially if you're just getting into it and you want to move something beyond the microlights. Personally, sky sigs, microlights, all that kind of stuff. Personally, I haven't owned one, but I know people that have. I've used them. And I wouldn't say they're rubbish. They're good if they work for you, but they don't work for me. It wasn't. I
find them more of a if you're going to give up.
Yeah, basically, yeah. If you
can knock it down, it's easy. Rip the tip off, rip the tip on, done job.
If you're trying to quit smoking, yeah. I mean, they do work out. To be honest with you, they work out probably more expensive over time because you're buying cartridges and stuff. And from Totally Wicked, you can get about 10 cartridges for a tenner. But if you smoke like you do smoke a normal cigarette, they're gonna burn through quite quick. You do 3 or 4 cartos a day, so you're talking sort of 25, 30 quid a week just on cartos without the original cost of the thing. And yeah, you get I think it's 180 mAh, 200 mAh batteries with it, but they don't last particularly long. For those who don't know, just in case there are some of you, mAh is basically how long your battery's going to last. I mean, my Vamo, for example, which I will get back onto, is 2,000 mAh. The spinners are 1,300 mAh. You've got 1,000 mAh.
The small ones, you can get small mini egos, which are like that big, and trying the battery about that big for the tip.
Yeah, you can get. I think you can get those from Liberty Flights. In fact,
yeah, they literally fit on your keychain, and it's literally an emergency.
Yeah,
and now I think they're 300,
350 mAh.
350 mAh. You're looking at what?
I think it's about £9, but
4
then
to
you
5
will,
hours vaping.
if you're lucky, about say 3 hours back vaping on from my experience anyway. But that totally depends. If you're using high resistance atomizers like 2.4, you'll get longer. The higher the resistance, the more resistance the battery, the less battery drain you get basically. But bear in mind you have to buy a charger for those. The advantage of a pass-through is it's an initial outlay of between say £15 and £25. I mean, Liberty Flights do a nice 900-mile pass-through for about £19. Totally Wicked's 1,000-mile pass-through, I believe, was £20 or £19.99.
Well, I got it on it was on Yo-Yo, which is the only site that we found that does it, which is it basically gives you you go on your main page and then you got like down the side and then you got like Yo-Yos at the top and it's basically a list of whatever they're knocking down, but they go up and down. And if you watch them,
1 to 4 minutes.
Yeah, 1 to 4 minutes.
If
so
you pay attention, you get some massive bargains.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
can. I mean, especially for Totally Wicked products. I mean, they're meant to be sort of headliners and brand
Market
leaders and stuff. Personally, I haven't really got bad word to say about Totally Wicked apart from the fact that they do seem a bit overpriced, but then you get what you pay for. Their liquids are good. I mean, I've tried a few and they are good. Personally, when it comes to the batteries, Totally Wicked.
Length first, won't we? 650 now does what? It will do you a day if you're not vaping hard.
I used to vape quite hard. But
it's not like a day if you're vaping hard.
650 mile will do you a day. Get up in the morning, vape it normal, vape at work, vape it after work, stop off. You'll still be going on probably just under 50% of the battery by the time you get home. Advantage of that is if you get indoors and it goes dead, plug it straight in. You can vape whilst it's charging, which is wicked. The one thing I do like about these Totally Wicked ones is basically you turn it on, 5 clicks, and you get dark blue.
That's tough.
Okay, basically you turn it on, you get a dark blue light. Turn it off, you get a dark blue light. The shut's been off and on. They've got, I don't know what it is that they do in there, but basically you've got a light indication. So when you vape it, you see that's a white light. If you drop below 50% battery life, that becomes sky blue. If you drop under 10% battery life, that becomes dark blue. It gives you some indications to when it's going to run out.
When it gets to 10%, it goes about 10 minutes. You're looking at. It does go quick.
If you're vaping it, yeah. With the spinners and even the twist.
This one is very hard to get hold of. This is a 1300 milliamp.
Again, Vaporscape, but they sell them at I think Safe6 do them as well. I'm not entirely sure, but Liberty's do them. It's just when they got them stock,
they go in as soon as they come out. So we was lucky to get 2.
That's an advantage of the pass-throughs. I haven't seen other batteries that do that. The spinners, they don't do that. It's on and off. It's white. It's white until the minute it dies. It does a disco at you, and it can go gone, and you haven't got any indication as to when. And it has happened at some inconvenient times. And it is a bit of a pain. Same with even the Ego C twist that comes from Totally Wicked. That does exactly the same thing. It's just a white light. There's no indications when it's going to run out. They should really implement that onto the other devices, because although you don't necessarily need it, if you know your battery's full, you know you're alright for a few hours. It is handy, and you do miss it.
Even the Very Fault 1300, it's going to last you all day.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If you go 2 days, you'll get through half a day, and it will die on you.
Yeah.
It will die.
But
I've got 2, so I don't need to one charge every night. Done job.
I mean, if you want to move on to Very Volts and stuff, it does get to a point where you really should keep your pass-through as a backup or buy 2 of them. Bear in mind though, when you do buy the Very Volts and stuff, you are going to need a new charger if you've started with a pass-through, which is another, depending on where you go from Totally Wicked is about £8. Liberty Flight's about £5, which is, they're all basically the same product, or just different or no branding on them. We should point out, like I say, Liberty's have got a nice 900 mile for £19. They're all Joytech batteries. It's just Totally Wicked's cost more, and they've got a little devil on them. Anyway, get back onto this, shall we? Basically, like I say, I started with a 650 mile, moved on to a spinner, and now I've moved on to this. This is basically this is an Ego Vamo with VIVI Vamo. It's a really good little battery. I took delivery the other day. It's got quite a few cool modes. You've got, I don't know if you'll be able to focus on that yet. You've got a display there. It gives you your ohms. If you hold down the plus button, if you hold down the negative button, it shows you your battery life. You can also basically vape on variable voltage, 3 to 6 volts on 0.1 increments, and variable wattage, I think it's 6 to 15 watts. There are a lot of videos out there about this battery. Research them. They can show you better than I can with sort of graphs and stuff as to what you can really expect. You should run it ideally with 2 18350 batteries, which are these. They're nice and tiny, they're not particularly big. The advantage with this is you've got the option to run it with an 18650 also, which is that one, basically same size as the 2 batteries stuck together. This will work better with 2 of those stuck together as opposed to the 1. But to be honest with you, I bought 2 small ones and one of the 18650 and a charger with a Vamo, delivered for about £80, which isn't too bad, to be honest with you. The advantage with this, which is something unique apart from maybe some of the telescope mods and stuff that are out there, is that you can remove that central tube just there, okay, and you plug the bottom cap straight onto that, and then you've got a nice sort of mini. From what I can gather, I haven't actually used one. From what I gather, sort of Pravari mini style, size wise, anyway.
The Pravari's probably a little bit thicker.
Yeah, it's probably got a bit more girth on the Pravari, but that's what I use now. I've been using it for about two days, I think.
Non-stop.
Pretty much non-stop. I do really like this. Like I say, this again was Vaporscape, for $44.99 or $95, something like that. But search online, you'll find a discount code very quickly for 10% off of there. ECR69. ECR69
I think
is
that's
one that we've
10%.
been
That's
using.
a standard 10%.
That's a standard.
Occasionally they throw out like a 15 or 20%, but we haven't seen one of them yet. But we've only been using them twice. So
2 or 3 times, yeah. But I got it from there. They seem to be really reliable for their deliveries and stuff. They seem to be pretty spot on as well. Take payment, it's dispatched. Yeah, and I can't say I've got too many bad words to say about them. Like I say, I've been vaping this pretty much non-stop. I find the Vapor it's a bit better. Yeah, it is a bit better. I mean, I've only used it for a couple of days. I've noticed a bit of an improvement. But it's nice to be able to see your options. That the LED screen is really good. It feels really good made quality. The screw fittings are really nice. It's a nice
plus, if you are going to get into rebuilding your atomizers, that will test your average.
You can test your average on this. It's not as accurate as something like Pravari, but let's face it, for 40 quid versus
185.
the better part of 200 quid, 160 if you want a standard one, or
But you look with the battery and charger, you're looking at 200 quid minimum.
Yeah.
Once you get all your bits, if you're going from basic, if you've already got your battery like he has, he's looking at 160. If you're buying it straight out and you're going to go, yeah, fuck it, I want everything best I can get. Well, then you're going to look at like
200 plus quid.
Yeah,
it's not
just for your battery.
It's not something you want to get into quickly, because once you invest in something like that, really you are invested in this, and
you are vaping for
you're a proper vapor. You're not just giving up smoking anymore. Personally, I took up vaping because I didn't want to give up smoking. I love smoking, always have done, always will do. But it is bad for you. It isn't fantastic. Smell, taste, any of it. I mean, without the health drawbacks, I mentioned financial drawbacks as well. If you're smoking 20 fags a day, the amount it costs.
You're not saving money for him because you're spending 80 odd quid on a battery.
I'd like
every
to
month.
say if I was smoking TaylorMades, I probably still would have spent more on TaylorMades than what I have, and I have abused my credit card for this. I mean, it gets paid off, to be honest. Yeah, it's alright. I work.
So I ain't got a job, is it?
Yeah, it's alright because I work. But yeah, basically.
But you can get away with going 15 quid, 6 quid. Couple of extra Atties for $2.50 a piece.
Yes, that's
bottle of liquid, you're looking at like 40 quid.
40
all
quid
in
max.
4 a month.
Yeah, with delivery, and it is good. Like I say, if you want to give up smoking, personally, I think I just go cold turkey because this, as much as everything else gives temptation. But if like me, like
you
him,
get addicted to flavours.
You want alternatives, then yeah, I'd say if you're looking for something other than smoking, but you don't really want to give up smoking, this is the way forward. You can use the microlights and stuff, and they probably are going to help you give up smoking. I don't doubt that for a second. They've had a lot of success. We're beyond nicotine patches and stuff now, I think, realistically. But with this, it wasn't a case of I wanted to give up smoking. I wanted to enjoy something as much as smoking without the financial and health drawbacks. And to be honest with you, this has become a new hobby for me and Paul, or Worm. Like I say, we've started making our own liquids. We buy several different things to try out and have a go with.
We've got stuff.
Basically, I mean, I started this 2 months ago.
Mine's 5 weeks now.
Yeah, 5 weeks. Basically, I went to work smoking fags. I came home, I was smoking fags whilst I was setting this up. I threw the fags aside, and I haven't touched one since. And I haven't felt the need to touch one since. More importantly, I think. Since then, I mean, introduced it to Paul. A few friends of mine as well have all started taking this up. We've got people that have been smoking for as little as 5 years that are now doing this and haven't missed the cigarettes. I've also got people that have been smoking for nearly 40 years that are now doing this and not cigarettes. And everyone seems to love it. They do. So if you're not invested yet and you're just watching this video to have a little look and see what's out there, you can get overcomplicated by stuff like this. But I think to stay with the
recommended.
Things,
you want to pass through 650 plus. Anything above that, you want to go 650. You can probably go thousands. I think it's the highest pass through we found. Isn't
thousands, the highest pass through I've seen.
So you want a 650 to 1,000. You don't want to go any lower than that for your first pass through. Obviously, it's not going to last a day.
I mean, if you're just starting, I recommend a 650. It's only a standard one. A 650 is only slightly bigger than that Clearomizer. That attached together looks quite nice. You can, like I say, you can knock up a little custom cigarette case like I did, or you can ask someone to do it for you if you're not very handy. It's just a bit of wood in there. Bored a couple of holes out. It sits in. Close it up, and that'll do you for the day. No,
basically looks like a pen.
It's a pen size. I mean, you compare the size comparison. There is a big difference, but do you know what I mean? This is now, say, beyond. I want to give up smoking because I didn't want to give up smoking.
We ain't
I
giving up
wanted
now.
to-
We've
no.
got too much invested.
Well, it's not just that, but I wanted to do something that I enjoyed as much as
Then I would have
smoking.
showed you the V3.
I wanted to do something as much as I enjoyed smoking, and this was I enjoyed this more. Let's face it, it's exactly the same effect, but this tastes like raspberries. A little note on mixing your own. If you're a bit new to this, which I was when I first started mixing, I ordered some liquid, and my second order was a DIY mixing kit from Totally Wicked. I think it was £37. And you come with 5-10ml gold concentrate, or gold standard concentrate flavours, and you've got a 50ml platinum ice and 200ml bottle of 100ml bottle of VG, or AGA as they call it, which is VG that's been diluted, or vegetable glycerin that's been diluted,
Top.
and 100ml propylene glycol for 37 quid. Pick 5 flavours and go with them. I'd recommend you don't do something like strawberry shortcake, but there are a lot of flavours, and marshmallow's pretty good, coconut's pretty good, and to be honest, for 37 quid you can get 2 bottles of Totally Wicked's Red Label 60ml, or you can have a bit of fun, read a bit of reviews online and stuff, read how to do it, watch a couple of videos and give it a go yourself. And to be honest with you, I haven't bought any liquid since that point. All I do is mix my own now. It's completely customisable. I want stronger flavour, I'll get a stronger flavour. If I want better throat hit, up the nicotine, up the propylene glycol, drop the VG. You can just tailor it so much, and it honestly adds to your vaping experience. So this isn't a quit smoking thing now. This is an equivalent to, or better than, in my opinion. You've got your mixing your own, you've got loads of different tanks, you've got your Vamos and everything else for the mods if you want to take it really seriously and you really want to enjoy it. But honestly, you will enjoy it just as much using a 3.7 650ml Ego on a clearomizer. It's pretty good.
I don't know if you can see this on this video, but you've got it's basically half full, this one. And what we were saying about the rolling is you want to just tip it, let the juice go down to the, thank you, let the juice go down to the wick, you can see that, and then just roll it round to the other side, and let it re-wet that side. And then I'll fix the top now, so we're going to show you how this vapes now.
I'm using a Nova.
It's good.
For
its price, it's good.
They're almost comparable. I mean, while we're on the V3s and the Novas, if you do want to take something up that isn't quitting smoking, I mean, that's an STV, which is basically a normal Nova which got a metallic rubberised case on it. The V3, you can get them in different colours, different tips, and then you've got the Nova. This is a normal Nova that's had a metal case which you can buy for about £3. Even Liberty Flights, Vapor Escape, do all of this.
You can also buy spare cases for these, so if you do break these, they're like £2.
And spare tips. I mean, advantage with this is a 510 drip tip, so you can put on any old tip. With these, you have to use their designated drip tip, but they're available in quite a few
flat
flavours.
ones or
rounded ones.
So.
Liberty Flights come with rounded. Totally Wicked for me came with flat, although it said it
unless
came
you
with
buy
rounded.
the clear one from Totally Wicked does come with a rounded, apparently. But all the colours like black, blue, green, yellow,
come with
red,
flat tips.
come with flat tips.
The flat tip was okay. I didn't mind it personally. I prefer the round tip. The flat tip, when you push the button, you seem to be sort of sitting a bit sort of off centre like that. He preferred it. It's kind of personal preference. Think about what you're going to like.
The round ones now, so that's all I use.
Yeah.
All drips are basically round or square or whatever. But
you can get loads of different drip tips.
I don't personally like metal drip tips.
I don't mind them. They make your lips a bit cold and stuff, but I mean, you seem to think you get a metallic taste from them.
I get a metallic taste from them.
Personally, I can't taste it, but I think.
Yeah.
But basically, whilst we're on the Novas and the V3s, if you are going to start up, if size isn't something that bothers you, the Nova it looks big. It looks big. If you compare it to the V3, it is big in terms of girth, if you want to call it girth or width. It is big, but it's not as big as you think it's going to be, judging by the videos. You buy one of these for £6, £6.50 from Liberty Flights, and you buy 2 spare atomizer heads, and it's going to cost you about 11 quid. Equally, you can get the Nova STV from Vapor Escape for £10.95, which is equivalent to the same price. And
discount
you get
on
free discount on that as well. You'll get discounts for Liberty Flights and Totally Wicked. Again, go on Facebook for Liberty Flights discounts. They give out 16 to 25% on there. It's better than you're going to find. ECR 69 for Vapor Escape. But honestly, if you want the best way to start and you're not too worried about appearance, I personally would get a black 650ml pass-through from Liberty Flights or Vapor Escape, I'd say.
The plinth is optional, it just does look a little bit better.
The plinth does make it look a bit better, but I would personally recommend this. Whilst we're on the sort of V3, V Nova.
Without plinth?
I started with the Nova. I started with the V3 and moved on to the Nova. I've tried Argas, iClears, lots of different tanks since then. This, in my opinion, is probably the best tank I've used. I'm not saying there aren't better out there. I don't know. I haven't tried them all. I've tried very few in comparison to what is available.
With the plinth?
The plinth does bend it nice.
Plus the plinth, once it's screwed down, if you untighten it up to the bottom, tighter draw.
You can adjust
More
your draw
like-
a little bit more.
Well, I mean, if you
More
go
like
from
the
these are quite a tight draw, these are quite a loose draw. So this will take you back up to a V3 draw if you're used to that kind of draw.
That's frequent from Liberty as well. But I mean, with the Novas, it's not something that I can really slag off. The build quality is pretty good, especially if you get the STV or get yourself a metal tank. They look much better and they feel more robust. They're easy to fill. It is a simple case of open it up and pour it down the sidewall. It's not hard. It'll take about 3 mil, and that is really enough to do any normal person a day at least. You can put your own drip tip in them. They wick really well, unless you're about there on the tank, about down there, in which case you may need to give it a roll, but that's something you're going to get used to doing with the V3s anyway. Personally, my opinion, if you're going to spend £11 on a V3 with 2 spare 80 heads at 1.8 ohms, I'd get one of them. Yes, it does come with a 1.8, a 2.4 and a 2.8. The 2.8 probably won't work that well on a standard 3.7 volt Ego. You may need a varivolt for a 2.8, but they're easy to clean, they're easy to maintain. There's not a bad word really I can say about them. The only thing you have to watch out for is when you undo it, you might unscrew the 80 head a little bit, but it's not hard to.
I haven't had that. And that's with the STVs.
The STVs it happens less, and they're also slightly a tighter fit as well. But yeah, definitely my recommendation, Nova. I've been ranting and raving about it for ages.
He's got 3, I've got 2.
I made him buy some, and he hasn't regretted it. It's a really good tank. It's a really good replacement coil system. The AGA heads
you can rebuild.
You can rebuild. It's basically
plenty of videos out there on YouTube. We'll probably do one eventually when we get it down properly, and we've got the campfire wire.
It's like a semi-rebuild, I suppose. A lot of people say it's not true rebuildable, which I suppose it's not because that's a Genesis style AGA and all that kind of stuff. But this, it's very easy to rebuild. You can see several videos on how to do that. So yeah, it's a piece of piss to own. And as far as the 8 heads go, I mean, this one's been in there for like 3 weeks. I wash it regularly when I change juices. But to wash them, I've watched a few people say this, once a week, take it out, put it in vodka, leave it for 24 hours. You don't really need to do that, but I'd leave it for 24 hours and then let it air dry. In the meantime, stick a new one in and then just work them on a rotational.
I had a bit of JD left over, I put some in that, no issues.
A bit of a
Still cleaned them.
But that would be what I'd do.
It tastes of JD when you first do it, but it was nice.
He likes JD, so do I, to be honest. But that would be where I would tell you to go. A 3.7 Ego, pass through to start with, and a V3 if you're wanting to look for something to introduce you, but ultimately I would guess you're going to end up with one of these, and I would take the punt and buy it straight away anyway.
Unless you don't have a lot of money, then this will do you. There's nothing wrong with this system.
This isn't slagging this off, it's just this is better, and it costs pretty much the same money. It's down to personal. You might not like the way this looks, in which case, up to you.
Saying that the Innocan dual core iClear 30?
iClear 16.
That's 30.
That's a 30, yeah.
This is 30. You can get a 16, which is basically that with dual coil in. We haven't tried it. We're assuming it's going to be the same as that. It's very new on the market, the dual coil clearomisers. Take a punt. It's up to you.
I didn't notice any real difference between the iClear and a single coil. People saying, I mean, yeah, okay, it didn't.
I found the vapors a little bit more consistent when you're exhaling and inhaling, but it's
because he's got
flavour
lady
difference.
lungs.
Shut your face, Minge.
But honestly, I think this is better than the iClear.
He's no longer Friday, he's Minge.
He's Man Fanny. I told you if you call me Minge, I'd call you Man Fanny. Man.
You are a Minge.
Whatever. This has been a recommendation. This video is getting quite long now, with best part of half of a film. So
let's keep
see
going.
you in cinema soon. No, we will continue. We will review these products individually. This is more of an introductory video and a load of rabbiting on by 2 idiots.
We like rabbiting, especially him.
I do like rabbiting, especially about vaping. Honestly, I talk to everyone about this. I must meet about 70 or 80 different people at work, and a week that is, and they all know about this. So yeah, spread the word. But we will review these individually. We'll break them down properly. It will be less.
We will take these apart, show you how to clean them, well, not clean them, but
it'll be less thrown together. We were sat here kind of a bit bored and stuff, so we thought we'd do one of these videos, get it out there, get it up there.
So
maybe
we
can help you out. If you if you like it,
you can always drop us a little
and subscribe. Obviously,
drop us a little inbox on the YouTube. We'll reply to as many as we can, as quickly as we can. There is 2 of us, and
we'll get on board. Obviously, any help we can give you, we will do. We'll keep uploading videos, like I say. If you found it funny or whatever, just
if you want more just of the stupid shit, we'll quite happily supply it, because he's a Minge, and I'm a Man Fanny, so whatever.
I don't think they're going to need to request that, mate. It just happens naturally. But
it's going to get more random.
Posted. Yeah, we will basically. This is a fairly new thing for us, so this is more an introductory video and trying to throw everything that we've kind of done in the last 2 months.
1,000 likes and he'll shave.
You cheeky prick. Did you realise what you said? A shave is on the cards, but this is basically what we were trying to do, is compress what we've done in 2 months into one 25 half an hour long video, and we've obviously overrun already.
I mean, I've used this. This is like my second clear on.
You're going to start fucking flapping again.
I'm going to start flapping again.
Oh fuck!
Because we're going to help these people up.
Yeah, but I think we've helped them. Oh, right, whatever, come.
What do you mean, whatever? Go on. Give me your crap. I'm using this at home, but I am going to probably buy another one of these. So I'm going to need it. And you know what? If we get to a point, I will putting this up for, I don't know, some sort of competition. It's basically brand new. I'll clean it out. Obviously, it's got an A head over there that I haven't even used.
That's mine and all.
And it'll come with it. I've got a spare one with him that he doesn't want. We'll throw it in as some sort of gift for some sort of prize at some sort of point. Maybe someone helps us out. He leads us to a better clearomizer that's better than the Nova. He can have that. Give it a dual call a go.
Give the eye clear that isn't as good as the Nova to someone who's recommended something better than the Nova. This is the kind of logic that this bell end works with.
It's not a bell end. If you want to try it, I'm saying don't pay for it. Enter the competition and you can win it.
But if you've got something better than a Nova and you want to recommend it, it's fine. We won't insult you by sending you that, because this is better than that. And if you've already got something that's better than this, it's not. Honestly, what I will do in this, we'll give you a quick out of 10 for overall performance for everything that we've got, starting with Clearos.
Value for money.
Value for money is 10. A factor, but yeah, value for money, I'll say 8.
Well,
because you got to buy the 8. But yeah, say 8 to 10. Looks, I think it's quite sleek looking. I'll give it a 7. Performance,
I reckon a 6 for looks. I mean, it does look nice, but it looks better in. I mean, it all depends what colour you want. I like it in clear. It does look good in clear. You can see your juice better.
Black with a black battery just seems to blend, but it's down to preference. It is all down to preference. I'll give it a 7 for looks. For performance, especially seeing as it is a cheap little thing and it comes through, I'd give it probably a 6 or 7.
7.
Ease of use, I'd give it a 7 or an 8 because it is fairly easy to use and there are copious amounts of videos, including ours now, or ish. We'll do other videos and show you how to use this properly. And just overall, around the town works, I'd say it's probably a good 7 out of 10 for that little clearomizer. What do you want to move on to? Move on to the Nova. Right, personally, this, like I say, this is the STV with a metal tank. Sorry, this is the normal with a metal tank. That's the STV. STV's handy because it's got your porthole, your visible windows, where you can see how much juice you've got. That is nice to know because when you've got this, I haven't got a clue what's going on in there half the time. So just keep it topped up. Looks wise, I like the look of these things. I'm giving it an 8.
I reckon it's a 9.
Okay.
With the windows, I like the windows.
I can't remember what we was actually reviewing these on, to be honest with you. We are piss poor. Overall performance of this, honestly, it's the best thing I've tried. 9 out of 10. Value for money, seeing as you get it in an STV for £10.95 with 3 atomizer heads, like that in a little set. A value for money, I'd say, seeing as I've tried tanks that cost twice this price, it's a 10 out of 10 for value of money.
I would say 9.
Because he's tight. He is.
You can't get...
in terms of performance, wicking's never been an issue. Never had liquid in my mouth. It's really good.
Did spit in his eye?
Yeah, alright, we'll mention that. I may have pressed the activated button when I didn't have the top post, or the drip tip and the drip tip adapter.
He was blinded.
I had a 2.8 ohm ATI and I decided to push the button whilst it was open at the top.
I was looking at it.
And I did have a little look down there to see whether the cores were light, and I wanted to see how it was wicking, and it spat in my eye. I was temporarily blinded for about an hour.
In fact, just so you know, our own juices, we're going to be naming them worm juice. So he technically had my juice in his eye.
No. But yeah, I mean, I was a little bit blinded, but I mean, overall, these things are a 9.5 out of 10 for me. They really are good.
Definitely a 9.
There you go. Eye clear. I'm gonna do my review, and then you can do yours because they're going to be different. Looks wise, I like the way it looks. I wish that around there it wasn't a slatted steel. I wish it was a mesh or some kind of steel. But looks wise, 8 out of 10. Ease of use is as easy as the Nova to fill up and stuff. It is, so it's an 8 out of 10 for that. Performance wise, due to flooding and the fact that it blew up on me, I'm going to give it a 5, just purely because it was good, but he was giving it the it's much better than everything, blah blah blah. At this point I was on a Nova, he wasn't, and I knew what better was. So that's what I would give it. Overall I'd give this probably a 6 out of 10. A few minor tweaks. If they made different cases for these that were metal, I like the metal tanks, they just feel more rugged. then that could definitely improve. And obviously, I think also they should maybe reduce the amount of wicks that are in there.
It would be hitting close if it was working.
I think if you had 3 wicks in each coil, it'd be enough. 4, I think, is more of a fashion statement and a wow factor than it is an actual useful feature, if I'm honest with you. We haven't tried to re-wick one of these, so I don't know what that's going to be like. But overall, I'll give it a 6. I'm guessing you're going to have a different opinion.
I think it looks ugly, to be honest. I don't like the King Kong grip. I don't like it moving around. I like my tip to be straight up. Ease of use, like I say, it is easy to use. I mean, looks, yeah, 4. I'm not being generous with it. Ease of use, it's an 8. It is easy to use, same as Nova. It's got a nice big gap, so you can put your juice down the side of it. Easy to fill up, easy to screw back on, done job. All I would say is when you're tightening up your AGA inside of this, make sure it is tight, because the tightness does make it go straight. If you're having like a slight thing where you got like the King Kong drip hanging over the side when you actually tighten it up, undo it, tighten up your AGA a little bit more, done job. Then put in your liquid. Make sure it's going on straight before you put your liquid in. So other than that, it's the only real issue I've had, except for a little bit of flooding when you're not keeping it up straight, is the home vape. I mean, overall, it's a 6. It's not great.
What else have we got?
But it does, when it does work, it's an 8. Because it does vape really nice, it does vape really smooth, the flavour is really good. But when it floods, it's a pain in the arse, and then you've got liquid on your battery, and it's just a lot of cleaning and a lot of hassle. When it works, 8. When it doesn't, 6.
AGA. Yes, so this is a rebuildable, so it's not really in the same kind of category as those guys.
I
can give you an opinion based on the AGA of what we've had so far, and basically what that's going to be is... yeah, it does look good, it looks like a bullet. Which I think looks, personally for me anyway, that's an 8 out of 10 straight away without a drip tip. Banging a nice drip tip, that's a 9 out of 10.
Nice chrome one.
Yeah, nice chrome drip tip would be lovely. If they made a drip tip like the one from the iClear to put it in here, or you're saying that if they made, they do made. If I had one,
you want a King Kong drip tip?
Yeah, King Kong in that nice one, that'd be wicked. Ease of use. If you can wick it right, and that is a big part on you, that's not, I mean, or us.
We haven't wicked it properly yet.
It's close, but not what I would call right in the butter zone. If you wick it right, it is easy to use. It's just undo a screw, syringe it in. You can even use the bottle top if you want to. Fill it up, 3 ml.
Good thing about it as well is if your wick does, your coil does blow, you can just pull the wick out, or re-wick a new one. Just stick it straight in.
It's all exposed. You haven't got to worry about emptying juice and stuff.
If your tip does blow, you might have a slight tainting issue, but that all depends how quick you catch it. Yeah,
basically. This, I mean, to be honest with you, you're never going to buy this to take out and about with you. This isn't something you're going to take to work. It's got the coil and stuff at the top. It's all rebuildable now. For me, anyway, I can't see why someone would buy this to take to work. If you're going to go Tesco, whatever it is you're doing, I can't see why you'd use this. So, for an indoor vape, something to tinker around with. If you like playing with things and you've got some tools and you've got a multimeter and stuff, you want to test your ohmage, and you do need a multimeter to test your ohmage so you know what you're running at.
Or one of these.
Or something with a variable, with something with a test feature on it.
Which is a
Vamo,
not
100%
what's the other one? It's a VMAX.
I think the ZMAX has got it on. Bravari. I mean, most of the mods have got some.
Anything over like 40 quid battery is going to have it.
Just read and make sure it's got it. They're not always spot on, but they're close. Then yeah, I can see the appeal to these. I really can, which is why I bought one. And as an indoor vape, if you get it working well, which a lot of people do get them working well,
they're meant to be good.
8 out of 10, I'd say. And
when you get it working.
The vape experience I've had with it, when it's vaped, wicked and stuff really well, and the coil's been working, the vape fit was nice.
It did go for a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah, it did go for a bit, but it wasn't something that lasted very long with us anyway, put it that way. We'll move on to batteries now. Start with, well, this is a 1,000 mile pass through. I'll start with a 650. It is what it is. As a starter battery, it's a 10 out of 10. It's easy to use, it's manual, you push the button, it's job done.
The lights help.
Ego and 510, you can pretty much use anything that's out there on it. The little lights on it, the indication is really good. It looks sleek, in my opinion. Black is the way forward. It's really well painted. Buttons feels good. Doesn't feel cheap to me. The pass-through feature is fantastic. So, I mean, overall, this battery, as a starter battery, is a 10 out of 10. As someone who uses a lot of vaping gear, this battery is still a 9 out of 10. Okay, the only thing it's missing is something to vary the voltage, and that's only because not so much different atomizers, but different flavours work better on different voltages. You can make something that isn't very volt work for you, and this definitely does. You agree with that?
Yep.
The spinner, much the same.
Take my Nova off, so you can see it.
The spinner, much the same. No real issues with the spinner. Take into account the fact you haven't got the button indication on it, and take into account the fact that The only other thing with this that annoyed me is the rubberised paint on the outside isn't as good as the ones from Totally Wicked. It just isn't. It did wear off. You can probably see a reflection there. This is my one that I sold to him. It did wear off, and that was just it rubbing up against a 1000 mile twist from Totally Wicked, and the paint didn't wear off on that. So that is the only issue.
Again, the button's nice and stiff. The only problem is it's not got the indication of how much it's got.
This is shorter than the 1000 mile from Totally Wicked. The twist, not the pass through. The pass through is about the same. The twist from Totally Wicked is probably about there. Okay, so it's not much, but it makes a difference, and obviously that's more powerful. So I'd say the negatives outweigh the positive outweigh the negatives if you're buying the twist in comparison to that, because the twist is about £25. That was 24. Overall, again, that's a 9 out of 10 for something that costs 20 quid. You can't go wrong. And bear in mind, this is a £40 mod, and it has no batteries or charger with it when you buy it. And this is a cheap mod. It's one of the better ones for the money, definitely. Apparently, it's been compared to the sort of things like the Z-Max and stuff in terms of performance, which is twice the price.
And it goes all the way up to 4.8, so you can use pretty much up to the 2.8.
So up to 2.8.
You can probably push a 3 if you want to, but
you'd be running it at maximum constantly, basically. We'll move on to this. I'll say I own this, he doesn't, but he can give his opinion based on what
I've used it enough.
I like this. It's a very good battery. I mean, personally, I think it's fantastic. Like I say, you undo your end cap, you undo your body part there. There's your 650, 18650. Pop it out. If you want to run an 18350, pop that back on. It's nice and mini and portable when you take it out. And the 18350 just literally plops straight in now. Screw the top back on and it works again. It's wicked. And you've got
or you can double stack it.
Or you can double stack it. You've got 3 different battery configurations, which is fantastic. It's variable voltage up to 6 volts, variable wattage. It's got an ohm meter or ohm meter on it, so you can register your ohms. It's got a battery indication to tell you when you're running low.
It says on and off when you switch it on and off.
When you switch it on and off. It's a 5-click on and off, same as the Egos. This is an Ego. It's made by Ego, or it's made by Joytech, which is an Ego. The button feels really good. These buttons feel really good. It's also, I don't know if I mentioned this, but it's Ego threaded in there. So if you're using one of these V3s, that will fit straight on there as well, and it looks pretty tidy. I mean, it's bigger obviously, but it looks tidy. The only thing, if you're using a Kanga, they don't fit in there because Kangas aren't 510 threaded. They're Ego threaded. So if you are using a Kanga, your Kanga won't fit on here without adaptation, so you're going to need to get a 510 to Ego adapter. But to be honest with you, I'd take that £3 that you're going to spend on that and I'll put it towards one of these and get rid of your Kanga, stamp on it, get it, throw it out the door, and never speak of it again.
Or just don't buy one if you haven't bought one.
If you haven't bought one, don't buy one in the first place.
What? No.
The Kanga T2s we tried, okay, I do want to point out we haven't tried the T3s and the MT3s, especially at Vaping selling, because they do look fantastic looking. They've been painted in this rubberised paint like the STV Nova. They look brilliant and they sell some batteries that look brilliant with it. It's just after my experience with the T2, until I hear some really good things about it, and bear in mind I heard good things about the T2 anyway, until I hear some really good things about it and they go down cheap, I'm not wasting my time.
When they were full, they work fine.
When they were new, they worked fine.
No, when they're full, they work fine.
Mine was full and still leaking. Well, still flooding. The Kanga's flooded like the Niagara Falls. It was literally, you put it in, out the bottom. It was like someone was sucking the juice.
You might as well not screw the bottom on. You might as well just pour the liquid over your battery and be done with it.
Basically, and that for me just is not good enough. If you're like me, a bit fussy, you want to buy something, put it together. An occasional issue isn't a problem. An ATI unscrewing when you unscrew the top isn't an issue. A drip tip popping out, oops, isn't an issue. But when things become to the point where you're spending more time repairing or trying to get something to work than you are vaping it, it's time to call that a day and throw it in the bin and move on to a Nova. It just is. Start with this. If you don't mind the size of this, start with this. Otherwise, V3. Standard Ego, 650 mile pass through, 1.8 ATIs, and then when you're ready to move on, move up to a Varivolt or a spinner from Vaporscape or Liberty Flights. You won't be disappointed, and there's no reason why that wouldn't be enough to see you through. You could get away with one spinner, one plinth, one Nova, a few spare heads, and you wouldn't need anything more to convey.
But if you've got a spinner, you've got 2 AT heads that come in with it.
I'm talking about generally. I mean, if you've got that stuff that I've just mentioned, there's nothing to stop you vaping, being happy. It's only because I want to try every and everything that's out there, and if I can get something that's really, really better than that. Yeah, I mean, as you can see, I haven't bothered wasting my time spending more money on the Clearos, Cartos, Attos, or anything else. Me, I'm spending money on the batteries because, as far as I'm concerned, at the minute, you can't do better than that. Helps if I turn it on.
That's normally.
It's been fun. We've spent an hour flapping, which is twice as long as we wanted to. Hopefully you made it through this video. I very much doubt it. You've probably skipped to bits and bobs.
Or they've been laughing at us.
Or yeah, you may have been laughing at us, in which case that's fine because everyone who knows us laughs at us anyway. So yeah, join the crowd. But as I say, if you did like this, or if you found it funny, or if you want to know anything else, or if you want to touch on something that we got wrong, got right, or whatever else you want to recommend stuff, then
I
hit
mean,
us
if
up.
you got a preference saying the Kanga's amazing, then tell us.
Mm.
We're still going to say that shit.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm quite vocal with my
We
opinions.
bought 4 of these, by the way, at one time, and all 4 leaked. All
Yeah,
4
we
of
should
them.
mention that. All 4 Kangas we bought. We bought 4 Kangas.
It wasn't like we had one and it leaked.
It wasn't a bad experience
4
before, and we tried them with new atties and everything else, so it was a bit pony. But again, this is not an intro, this is an outro. I have been Mr. Proton, this has been The Worm. I hope you enjoyed it, let us know.